Jason never expected his day to start like this. It was a normal Tuesday morning in his suburban neighborhood, the kind of morning where the only sound should be the hum of the coffee maker and the soft buzz of electricity powering his home. But when Jason rolled out of bed and flipped on the light switch, nothing happened. Cut to Jason's face, confused, flicking the switch on and off. The room stays dark. The house was completely dark. No lights, no power, no sound. Jason rubbed his eyes, thinking maybe it was just a blown bulb or a tripped switch. But as he made his way through the house, checking every outlet and appliance, the silence was deafening. He opened the fridge. No hum. The TV was dead. Even the digital clock on the microwave was blank. Jason mutters to himself, okay, weird. Did the power just go out? Cut to Jason stepping outside, blinking in the morning sun, squinting down the street. That's when he noticed something strange. The streetlights were off, but so was the power at only his house. Every other house on the block looked perfectly fine. Lights on, garage doors open, kids riding bikes. Jason frowned. Narrator, something wasn't right. A blackout? Sure, but one that only hit a single home. That was unusual. Jason pulls out his phone, calls the electric company. Jason on phone. Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to report a power outage at my address. It's only my house though. Is there a scheduled outage or something? Electric company rep voiceover. Casual. No scheduled outages in your area, sir. I'm showing full power to your meter. Jason ended the call, feeling a knot in his stomach. Narrator. No outage, no storm, no accident. Just darkness. He started to wonder if someone had tampered with his power, but who? And why? Cut to Jason walking toward the neighbor's house, hoping for answers. He saw Mrs. Delaney watering her plants. Jason. Hey, Mrs. Delaney, have you noticed anything weird? Power out here, but everywhere else seems fine. Mrs. Delaney glancing at Jason's house. Well, funny you ask. I did see Karen, the HOA president, near your house last night. Looked like she was fiddling with something near your breaker box. Jason's eyes widened. Narrator: Karen. The name alone sent a chill down Jason's spine. Karen had a reputation around the neighborhood, a woman who ruled the HOA with an iron fist and zero tolerance for rule. If anyone was responsible for this, Karen seemed like the obvious suspect. Jason to himself. Could she really mess with my power? Just because of some stupid fence dispute? Narrator: It wasn't just about the fence anymore. Jason's mind raced back to the last HOA meeting. He'd only wanted to fix a broken fence post, but Karen had exploded at him, threatening fines, legal action, and worse. Flashback to HOA meeting. Karen speaking sharply. Karen stern. Community rules exist for a reason, Jason. If you don't follow them, there will be consequences. Jason calm but frustrated. I just want to fix my property, not break the rules. Karen cold. Rules are rules. No exceptions. Narrator. Now, those consequences had gone from words to actions, and Jason was paying the price. Back to present. Jason walking slowly toward his house. His fingers trembled as he pulled the cover off his breaker box. The smell of ozone and faint scorch marks greeted him. Jason muttering, this isn't normal. The breakers looked tampered with, wires frayed, screws missing, and worst of all, the main switch was flipped to off. Narrator. Someone had deliberately cut his power, but who, and what would they do next? Jason took a deep breath. This was more than an inconvenience. This was sabotaged. Jason firmly. I'm not going to let this slide. If you've ever lived in a neighborhood with a homeowners association, or HOA, as they like to call it, you probably know someone like Karen. The self-appointed queen of rules. The keeper of the community's standards, and the one person who can turn a simple fence repair into a full-blown neighborhood crisis. Karen Thompson wasn't just any HOA president. She was the HOA president, a title she wore like a badge of honor. She knew every bylaw, every code, every tiny regulation, and she enforced them with the kind of passion usually reserved for superheroes or villains. Cut to a flashback. Karen speaking firmly at a neighborhood HOA meeting, clipboard in hand. Karen, authoritative, sharp. We all have a responsibility to maintain the appearance and safety of our community. That means no exceptions, no shortcuts, and definitely no excuses. Narrator. Karen believed in order, in discipline, and the power of rules, but for some neighbors, including Jason, Karen's brand of justice felt more like control. Cut back to Karen's house where she sips coffee on the porch, eyes sharp and calculating. Jason had never been in her good graces. Their first run-in had been over a broken fence post that Jason had intended to fix himself. Simple, harmless, and something every homeowner would do, but Karen had other ideas. Cut to Jason's voice, recalling the event. Jason, I thought fixing a fence was straightforward, but Karen showed up at my door the next day, waving some document, and talking about permits and community standards. It was like I'd committed a crime. Narrator 2. Karen, the fence wasn't just a fence. It was a symbol of respect for the neighborhood rules. And Jason, in her eyes, was a rule breaker. Cut to Karen's voice, defensive and unwavering. Karen, if we start letting people ignore the rules, even a little, it all falls apart. What kind of message would that send? Narrator. But for Jason, it wasn't about rules. It was about common sense. Jason frustrated. I wasn't trying to break anything, just fix what was broken, but Karen treated me like a criminal. It felt personal. Narrator, and things only got worse after that. Cut to nighttime footage. Karen walking near Jason's house, flashlight in hand, lingering suspiciously near the breaker box. Neighbors whispered about Karen's late-night visits. Some called it community vigilance. Others called it sabotage. Narrator, Karen's actions that night would soon become the center of a storm that no one could have predicted. But it wasn't just about power lines or fences. It was about control. Cut to Jason standing outside his house, looking determined. Jason realized that this wasn't just a power outage or a dispute over a fence. It was a war, and Karen was leading the charge. Jason, once I saw her near the breaker box, everything clicked. This was no accident. It was deliberate. Narrator, the problem, proving it. Because Karen was smart. Too smart to get caught, or so she thought. Cut to a close-up of Karen, checking her phone. A sly smile creeping across her face. She knew how to keep her hands clean, how to cover her tracks, and how to turn the neighborhood against anyone who crossed her. Narrator, and Jason, he was about to learn just how far Karen was willing to go to keep her kingdom intact. Cut to a dramatic pause, then Jason, looking at the camera, determined. Jason's next move would change everything, and it would push Karen to a breaking point no one saw coming. Jason knew he had to get to the bottom of this power outage, and fast. But what he found beneath the breaker box cover wasn't just a broken switch or a blown fuse. It was something far more deliberate. He could tell at a glance. This was an accident. Cut to a close-up of Jason's hands as he carefully removes the cover, revealing the tangled, messy wires inside. Wires were cut, twisted, and frayed. Screws holding the panel in place were missing, some thrown on the ground nearby, and the main switch was flipped off. Like a silent order to stay in the dark. Jason's heart pounded as he realized someone had sabotaged his home's power supply. Jason, voice trembling. This isn't just a technical issue. Someone wanted me in the dark. Literally. Narrator. But the story only got stranger as Jason examined the breaker box more closely. His eyes caught something he hadn't noticed before. A small scrap of paper tucked into a corner of the panel. The paper was weathered, stained with dirt and moisture, but the message was clear. Cut to a close-up of the note. Fix your fence, or stay in the dark. Jason's face tightens. The threat was unmistakable. Narrator, this wasn't just about electricity. This was personal. It was a warning, a message from whoever wanted to control Jason's home and his life. Cut to Jason pacing in his living room, phone in hand, making a call. He called a local electrician to come take a look, someone who could verify if this was sabotage or just an unfortunate accident. Electrician arriving, professional, looks like deliberate tampering to me, no doubt about it. Jason, so someone did this on purpose? Electrician, absolutely. Whoever did this knows exactly what they're doing. It's dangerous, illegal, and it's a serious threat. Narrator, Jason's suspicions were confirmed. This was no random outage. Someone was targeting him. Cut to Jason talking to a close friend, Mark, over coffee. Mark, man, that's next level crazy. You sure you want to take this on? Karen's got power and some serious influence. Jason, resolute. I don't have a choice. If I don't stand up now, what's next? Losing my home? Being bullied out of my own neighborhood? Narrator, but standing up to Karen wasn't easy. She was the HOA president, the one person with authority, or so she thought. And for Jason, every step forward felt like walking into a storm. Cut to nightfall. Jason installs a small security camera near his breaker box. He decided to take matters into his own hands. If Karen was behind this, he needed proof, something concrete to show the neighbors. The police, even the HOA board, because rumors and whispers weren't enough anymore. Narrator. In a world ruled by power struggles and unspoken rules, evidence is the only weapon that truly matters. Jason's camera was ready, and so was he. Cut to a shadowy figure approaching the house late at night. Hours later, the camera caught a glimpse of someone moving in the darkness. Flashlight in hand, tools at the ready. A figure moving deliberately toward the breaker box. Jason watched the footage with a mix of fear and hope. Narrator: the person on the tape wasn't a stranger. It was Karen, caught red-handed. Cut to Jason's face, staring at the screen. Jason felt a surge of vindication but also a deep, unsettling realization. This fight was only beginning. Karen wasn't just breaking rules. She was breaking trust. Jason, quietly now. There's no turning back. The next day, Jason knew he couldn't stay silent any longer. He had the footage. He had the evidence. But confronting Karen, the HOA queen, was no small task. Still, if he didn't stand up now, the darkness might never lift. Cut to Jason walking across the street toward Karen's house, trying to keep his cool. When he reached her porch, Karen was waiting, not surprised, not intimidated, just, ready, Jason, firmly. Karen, I know what you did. I have proof, the footage of you tampering with my breaker box. Karen's eyes narrowed. For a split second, a flicker of something anger crossed her face, then it vanished. Karen voice sharp, controlled. Proof. What proof do you have? You're making serious accusations. Jason, narrator. Karen was a master at turning the tables. She knew how to deflect, deny, and intimidate all at once. Jason steadied himself. This wasn't just a conversation. It was a battle for the truth. Jason, the camera doesn't lie. You cut my power. You sabotaged my home because I didn't follow your ridiculous rules about a fence. Karen took a slow breath. Then, with cold determination, Karen, I'm protecting this neighborhood. You broke the rules, and I'm enforcing them. If that means cutting your power to make a point, so be it. Narrator. Jason couldn't believe what he was hearing. This wasn't enforcement. This was harassment. Jason, voice rising. You have no right. This is illegal. You could have hurt someone. Karen. Suddenly, Karen's demeanor shifted, no longer calm, but defensive and aggressive. Karen, if you keep accusing me, I won't hesitate to call the police. You're harassing me. Narrator. And just like that, the tables flipped. Karen pulled out her phone, fingers hovering over the screen like a general ready to fire the first shot. Jason's heart pounded. He knew this would get messy. Jason steeling himself? Call them. I'm not afraid. The truth is on my side. Cut to neighbors watching from windows and porches, whispering anxiously. The neighborhood had never seen such a public showdown. On one side, the defiant homeowner fighting for his rights. On the other, the powerful HOA president, wielding influence like a weapon. Narrator. The stakes couldn't be higher, because this wasn't just about power lines or fences anymore. This was about who controlled the community and what they were willing to do to keep that control. Cut to the sound of sirens in the distance growing louder. Within minutes, police arrived at the scene, their presence sending a ripple through the quiet street. Officer approaching Jason. Sir, we received a call about a possible dispute. What's going on here? Jason calmly handed over his phone, showing the footage. Jason, this is the person who cut my power. I have video proof. The officers exchanged glances, their expressions serious. Narrator. For the first time, the authorities were faced with the undeniable evidence. But Karen wasn't going down without a fight. Karen speaking fast, urgent. He's lying. He's threatening me, harassing me. I called because I felt unsafe. Narrator. 2 stories. 2 versions of the truth. And in the middle, the community holding its breath. Cut to neighbors murmuring, some nodding at Jason's courage, others worried about the HOA's power. Narrator. Jason knew this was only the beginning. The police could investigate, but the real battle was in the court of public opinion, and in the hearts of his neighbors. Jason to the officers. I just want the harassment to stop. I want my home back with power. Officer will look into the tampering. In the meantime, stay calm and avoid further confrontations. Cut to Jason walking back toward his house, the weight of the day settling in. Narrator. That night, Jason couldn't sleep. He knew Karen wouldn't back down easily, but neither would he. Jason thought the police visit might slow things down, maybe even stop Karen's campaign against him. But he was wrong. If anything, the tension in the neighborhood was rising, and Karen's attacks were escalating. Cut to Jason stepping outside, noticing a new sign stuck firmly in his front yard. The camera zooms in on the sign, which reads, HOA violation, unauthorized repairs, property subject to fines. The sign was clear. The HOA was sending a message. Jason's fence was unauthorized. His home was under scrutiny, and the blackout was just the beginning. Jason to himself, frustrated. They're trying to break me. Narrator. And break him, they almost did. Over the next few days, strange things started happening. His mail went missing. His trash cans were mysteriously overturned. Tires slashed on his car one morning. Jason kept a detailed journal of every incident, but the fear was growing. Cut to Jason talking on the phone with Mark. Mark, this is getting dangerous, man. You need to think about going to the police again, or maybe even a lawyer. Jason, I'm not backing down. If I let Karen push me out, what does that say about standing up for yourself? Narrator. But the more Jason fought, the more Karen seemed determined to crush him. It wasn't just personal anymore. It was a power play. Cut to Karen at an HOA board meeting, speaking passionately to a room full of neighbors. Karen, this community deserves order. We cannot tolerate residents who refuse to follow rules. Jason's defiance is a threat to our neighborhood's peace. Neighbor 1 whispering to Neighbor 2, I don't know if she's gone too far this time. Neighbor 2, she always plays hardball, but this feels different. Narrator, behind closed doors, the HOA board debated Jason's fate. Could they force him out, find him into submission, or worse? Jason felt the pressure mounting. Cut to Jason meeting with a lawyer in a small office. Lawyer, this isn't just about a fence or a power outage anymore. You're dealing with harassment, property damage, and potential illegal actions by the HOA president. Jason, I just want to live in peace. Fix my fence. Have my power back. Lawyer nodding. We can file a restraining order and take legal action if necessary, but you'll need evidence and a lot of it. Narrator, gathering proof meant keeping his camera rolling every night, every suspicious move. Jason wasn't just fighting for his home anymore, he was fighting for justice. Cut to Jason setting up more security cameras around his property, checking them carefully. Every shadow in the night was a potential threat. Every noise could be an attack. The neighborhood was watching, some with sympathy, others with fear. Narrator. Then came the breaking point. Cut to Jason discovering his mailbox ripped open and scattered on the ground. An ominous note tucked inside. The note read, "Leave now, or this won't stop." Jason's hands trembled as he read it. Jason quietly, "This is harassment. Threats." Narrator. Fear settled in, but so did determination. Jason knew the battle would only get darker, but he refused to let Karen win, because sometimes, standing up means staring down the worst and refusing to blink. The threats and sabotage were no longer whispers in the night. They were reality. Jason's peaceful life had been replaced by fear and uncertainty. He knew he needed the law on his side, and fast. Cut to Jason dialing 911 on his phone, his voice steady but urgent. Jason into phone. "I need to report ongoing harassment and property damage. I believe the HOA president is behind it." Narrator. The police had been out once before, but this time Jason's story was different. This time, he wasn't alone. Neighbors who had watched in silence were starting to speak up, and some were even willing to back Jason's claims. Cut to police officers arriving, flashing lights, casting shadows on the street. Officer Martinez, addressing Jason, "Will take statements from everyone involved and look into the evidence you've collected." Narrator. Jason handed over his security footage, his detailed journal, and the threatening notes he'd found. The officers nodded gravely. "Officer Martinez, this is serious. We'll increase patrols in the area and see what we can do." Cut to Jason watching from his porch as the police talked to neighbors, some hesitant, some supportive. Narrator. But then, just as it seemed the law might finally tilt the scales in Jason's favor, the story took a surprising turn. Cut to the HOA's monthly meeting. Karen stands at the podium, composed but strained. "Karen, I have a confession to make." The room gasps. Jason watches the live stream from his phone, stunned. Narrator. Karen's voice cracked. Not with guilt, but with something else. Frustration and exhaustion. "Karen, yes, I tampered with Jason's power, but it wasn't out of malice. It was a desperate attempt to protect the neighborhood." Cut to Karen explaining, her tone defensive but revealing. "Karen, the fence issue wasn't just about rules, it was about safety. Jason's fence was falling apart, risking injury to children and pets. I reported it multiple times, no response. So I took matters into my own hands." Narrator. Her confession shocked the community. Was Karen a villain, or a vigilante? Cut to Jason reacting, confused and angry. "Jason, sabotage isn't protection. You could have called me, or the HOA could have handled it properly. Instead, you endangered my family." Narrator. The community was divided. Some understood Karen's intentions. Others saw her actions as a dangerous abuse of power. Cut to neighbors debating heatedly. Some supporting Jason, others backing Karen. Neighbor 1, "She should have followed protocol." Neighbor 2, "But she was trying to keep us safe." Narrator. Jason realized this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about how far one person could go in the name of community, and where the line between protection and control should be drawn. Cut to Jason preparing for a legal battle, meeting with his lawyer. Lawyer. This admission complicates things, but it also strengthens your case. We can argue that Karen's actions were reckless and illegal, regardless of intent. After Karen's confession, the neighborhood was buzzing, and not in a good way. Trust was broken, friendships strained, and Jason felt more isolated than ever. But then, something unexpected happened. Karen wanted to talk. Cut to Jason and Karen meeting at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop. Both look wary but determined. Karen hesitant. Jason, "I didn't want it to get this far. I thought I was doing the right thing." Jason calm but firm. "Karen, you endangered my family. You crossed a line, but maybe we can find a way forward." Narrator. Neither wanted a war that tore the neighborhood apart, but healing required honesty and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. Cut to flashbacks of happier times in the neighborhood. Block parties, friendly waves, kids playing in yards. Jason remembered why he moved here in the first place. Community. Narrator. But Karen. She remembered her responsibility, the pressure to keep things perfect. Karen. I lost sight of what really matters. Narrator. They agreed on one thing. Communication had broken down. Karen's approach harsh, secretive, controlling, wasn't working. Jason's resistance, silent, frustrated, and sometimes reckless, only made things worse. Cut to the coffee shop table where they both pull out their phones and start drafting ideas. A neighborhood meeting, a mediation, clearer communication. Narrator. It was a small step, a fragile truce, but it was something. Because sometimes the hardest battles lead to the strongest bridges. Cut to the next day, Jason posting a message to the neighborhood online forum. Jason typing, "Neighbors, let's come together. Let's fix what's broken. Fences, trust, and maybe even power lines." Narrator. The message was simple, but powerful. For the first time in weeks, Jason saw hope flicker. But the story wasn't over, because just as peace seemed possible, an unexpected player entered the scene. Cut to a mysterious figure watching Jason's house from a distance, hidden in the shadows. Narrator. Someone else had been pulling strings all along. Someone who didn't want the neighborhood to heal. Someone who thrived on chaos. Cut to a flashback. A quick glimpse of a shadowy figure handing something to Karen weeks ago. A small device, maybe a timer or a remote. Narrator. Karen might have been the face of the sabotage, but the real puppet master was still out there. Cut to Jason receiving an anonymous package on his doorstep. Inside, a detailed map of the neighborhood, with certain houses circled, including his own. Jason voiced low, alarmed. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Jason knew the calm was a lie. Someone was watching, waiting, ready to strike. This wasn't just about a fence or power outages anymore. It was about control. Cut to Jason activating all his security cameras and locking all doors. His face is set, determined. He decided to fight back not with anger or threats, but with strategy and evidence. Cut to Jason sharing the anonymous map and footage with the police. Officer Martinez, this is a serious escalation. We'll launch a formal investigation immediately. Narrator. But the most shocking truth was yet to come. Cut to a quiet HOA board meeting days later. The board president, a stern woman named Linda, speaks solemnly. Linda, we've uncovered evidence that Karen was manipulated, coerced into sabotage by someone on the board trying to consolidate power. Narrator. The real puppet master wasn't just lurking in the shadows, they were sitting at the very heart of the HOA. Cut to a tense confrontation in the HOA office. Jason stands face to face with the real culprit. Gary, a longtime board member known for his strict policies and secretive dealings. Gary cold smile. I did what was necessary to keep order. Karen was useful, but expendable. Jason angry but composed. You endangered people's lives. You abused your power. This ends now. Narrator. With the evidence Jason and the police gathered, Gary was arrested for coercion, harassment, and property damage. Karen, meanwhile, faced consequences, but with a chance to redeem herself. Cut to Jason and Karen in a neighborhood meeting, addressing the crowd. Jason, we've been through a lot, but this community can heal if we come together honestly and respectfully. Karen, sorry for what I did and I'm committed to making things right. Narrator. The neighborhood breathed a collective sigh of relief. Fences were repaired, power restored, and trust slowly rebuilt. Cut to a community barbecue, neighbors laughing, kids playing, music in the background. Narrator. Jason's fight reminded everyone that standing up for your home means standing up for your community, and that even in the darkest moments, truth and courage can light the way. Cut to Jason, looking directly at the camera. Earnest. Jason, if you're dealing with an HOA nightmare or feel powerless in your own home, don't stay silent. Document everything, get help, and fight for your rights because your home is worth it. Narrator closing. Thank you for watching. If you've experienced HOA drama or want to support homeowners standing up for themselves, hit like, subscribe, and share your story below. Together we can shine a light on the truth and keep our communities strong.